All right, so we are moving into Oasis, and that means that it will, in fact, be pizza time, at least if you look to the skies, where there will be a Pharah in the air for Denial. And now that I've given in to calling him pizza, I will be making terrible puns all stream long. Hide yourselves. That's all I gotta say about that.
That's just a given. That's just a given that you're gonna make terrible puns. You don't have to warn the people about that. That's what people have come to expect out of us. Now, this was a map that Denial was able to beat Meta Athena on as well, so this is something that it's their home map, it's their best map, and not surprisingly they want to go here. The big issue, or the big question I have, is one of the teams that's been able to shut down pharmacy combos easier than any other team has been Rogue, and that has been the bread and butter of Denial. We'll see what they can get done, but I think you guys were right when you said early on that a lot of it might be on Dante to get in there, but they're going to switch to a combo of their own, not necessarily what Rogue always runs, but yeah, both teams can run a pharmacy.
This can be risky for Rogue here, where I don't have as much faith in AKM's Pharah as I do other heroes in his pool, and Pizza was pretty darn impressive yesterday during the qualifiers, so this can be difficult for Rogue, more so than you might expect. However, they still have Soon on the ground, and as good as Silk Thread has been, I cannot put him over Soon in any form of one-on-one capacity. So a lot of different factors going into this, is both teams taking a while to go in on each other, but now AKM from the floor, going in on Pizza, not able to land the rockets, but it's Soon who takes down Dahoon early on. Both Tracers hitting pay dirt. 5 versus 5 early in what has been a very back and forth fight, but Soon on the ground, perhaps a difference maker, as Rogue now starts to open this up.
Well, Pizza will eventually dunk onto Soon, but dunking way too close as he ends up going down to his own damage there as well. And it took a little bit of time, but it is going to be Rogue winning out this fight. Silk Thread trying to bring it back. We'll Pulse Bomb a Diva mech, but that's just going to demech the Diva for Rogue. That is Nico right now. One of the reasons, I mean, it's fine. They won that first fight. One of the reasons I don't love Pharmacy from Rogue is because it takes Unko off of two of his best heroes in Ana and Zenyatta. Hard to be as impactful on a Mercy.
It certainly can be. Nox coming in off the early engage, takes down XQC. AKM, again, looking for Pizza. Neither Pharah really connecting here, so you take a look at Pizza. He's actually ignoring AKM now, looking for shots on the ground. Eats 2 rockets, though, as a result. Down he goes. And now Ginger Pop in, trying to get away from AKM. Does not do it. But with the Resurrection coming out from Rogue, this should be enough for them to seal this point.
Yeah, the Resurrection, very nice for them to bring that back in, especially knowing that Ginger Pop was down, and even if you're not keeping track of Resurrections, you know that he might be getting close to one, but if you can just make sure that your res is guaranteed to come off, you're going to be in a great spot. 50% now on the side of the board for Rogue. Compositions not changing up from either side. Both are confident that this is what they should be running. And AKM's going to have his barrage up shortly. We'll see what Dahoon can get done if they want to initiate with a sound barrier or if you're going to wait to use it post-resurrection.
Meanwhile, looking at Nico back here, holding on to self-destruct. Potentially can throw it out early in this fight, but he's hanging on to it now. Sound barrier comes in from the side of Denial as they re-engage and try and pull this forward, but they get 0 kills off the sound barrier, and Rogue is able to withstand the tide. Nico diving in deeper, finds Ginger Pop, 2 kills from Rogue to 0, and this is looking like a very clean hold here from Rogue, and for Denial Hex, they're going to have only one more opportunity to actually bring this back.
And the opportunity is going to have to be off the back of a Resurrection or a Barrage, maybe even a Pulse Bomb. Those are their 3 options to really try to bring this back. They could open up with a self-destruct, but I don't love self-destructs necessarily when you need your Diva in her suit and you need her to be blocking damage, because if a self-destruct comes out, AKM can just wait and find an angle for Barrage.
Early self-destruct is in. Nico takes down 2 off a beautiful setup. AKM raining down the weather just for good measure right after taking down 2. 2 very well placed from Rogues, setting them apart here in this fight. And it is looking like Rogue will clean up this University stage rather nicely, 100% to 0. No rolling being done this round, except by Rogue.
A tale of 2 self-destructs, and it was really cute play out of the Pharmacy combo from Rogue. That self-destruct came in from Dante late, and a Desperation one at that, but they just dropped down in the library. It's one of the better places to just hide out and then pop back up. Yeah, that's where you can really use that verticality. So even though this is Denial's home map, Rogue just 100% the better of it so far.
Yeah, they're even coming in with the mirror comp, which is, I don't know if it's a statement they're making or if they were planning on coming in with it anyway, but they did come out with their own Pharah, their own Diva, their own Mercy, as opposed to the Genji and a Tracer, Genji's and Tracer stuff that they've been running. So I think Nico's Diva's actually been performing pretty well, but 99-0 is pretty convincing, and I think it might really come down to who opens up, because it's really hard to retake again against the Diva and the Winston.
Yeah.
Well, Rogue getting onto the point here a little bit earlier, sacrificing high ground, but Nico diving right in, just disrupting Denial in over the top end. In the chaos, Dahoon falls and Lucio on Lucio violence. So 65 for Rogue here early on, a lot of healing and speed removed from the side Denial as they're now just mechanically getting removed from this fight. Nothing too crazy, just Rogue winning this on the nuts and bolts.
Pizza will eventually take down AKM, but Ginger Pop out of that fight. And I think the biggest difference, and maybe it's because Silk's not been with this team very long, has just been the Tracer play on the ground. Soon is prioritizing taking out the opposing Diva, and she's actually not that bad of a target for Tracer because she has to look at you, and then there's defense that's going to be down, and also her head hitbox is huge. You can two-clip a Diva and then just really get her out of the fight, and that's opened things up for everyone else on his team.
Farah up in the skies once more. AKM trying to take on Pizza Time, as it were, and one rocket connects, but he's getting delayed as he looks for this as Pizza is raining down the rockets on the ground. Pizza does finally fall, but I do wonder if this has been a worthwhile trade for AKM, who now, very late into the fight, is starting to work on the ground. Should work out as Dahoon is getting staggered.
Yeah, Unko had the option to res there, but they'd already won the fight. It's a smart move that way that you're not going to get out-resed next time. It's a smart ultimate to hold. You would love to be able to res secondarily. Probably going to see a res fight for the next one incoming, and that's a nice entry kill to take out Nico. Now that should open things up for him.
Pizza going in deep, drops a barrage and gets dropped by AKM. Not exactly what he was looking for. And now AKM with a golden opportunity to move right in. The resurrection comes in though, so he has to worry about Pizza, who is freshly out of the oven once more. Silk Thread takes down 2 with the pulse bomb, and suddenly Denial with the chance of flipping this back over.
If they should be able to bring this back, I mean, Silk had a really nice pulse bomb there, and finally they will. One of the harder maps to actually clean up. Oasis Brawly, as always, able to get a nice kill there later, and just as I called out Silk Thread for not being on the same level as Soon, he really opened that up for his team with the entry pulse bomb. They're going to have a couple of ults of their own. Meanwhile, AKM should be looking for a barrage, but it's so difficult to get a good barrage off, period. And then when you start adding Divas in the mix, it's a real problem.
Dahoon lucky wasn't bopped off there. Very close from AKM, just off a long-range concussive blast. Rogue now coming back in. They used the sound bearing, got nothing out of it, so they're going to have to win this more on the basics. Dahoon goes down to Nico early on as AKM, applying more pressure over the top, looking for Pizza. The Farah v Farah battle still in play, but while this is going on, it's Nico just cleaning up the ground with very good, solid Diva play. Very close here, but Denial now starting to get muscled off at this point.
It was close, and the stall will come out from Dante very quickly, but they will be able to flip it back over. If they have any chance of winning the next fight, and conversely winning the stage, they need to kill Unko. And easier said than done with a support player of Unko's caliber, but he's going to look for vertical options. They're going to probably spread out to give him all the escape options he needs.
AKM creeping in from the side. Unco right there with the support. Drops the barrage point blank and is rewarded. Dahoon removed immediately. 2 swift kills here from Rogue, and Denial already on the back foot, but Denial about to have the resurrection up. Ginger Pop 1% away. Will he use it here? Does not.
No, not quite happening there.
I'm a little bit confused, to be honest. There are still plenty of members of Denial alive. They had a resurrection up, and they didn't stand the point.
It's
Flame,
confusing
help?
to some teams, yeah, because the mid-high ground doesn't count as being on the point.
It doesn't count, but they still had so many people around that how do they not? That was sloppy.
Tensions are rising, blood pressure is flowing, and I do think that they're... I mean, I want to say that they might have fallen into a trap here, thinking that Oasis was the map to go to. Because I want to see them try their composition against Rogue's more standard Genji dive. But if they're going to play mirror comps on this map, which I think is just the standard for this map, it's not favoring them a lot, as I do think AKM's getting the better end of the Farah deal, and Again, Unco, I think, only has 1 death this entire series so far.
Rogue has played a better fair Mercy, but they've also done better on the ground war overall. Not so much this time as Silk Throat takes down Soon, but Soon has been getting more done on the Tracer spectrum as well. So for Rogue, it's been sort of an outplay across the board here, as once more, Denial getting bullied out, and Pizza accepts his fate, falling to the ground below. Wow, everyone's going to the ground below. There's one way to reset.
Nico's chase has been really good, though. They're getting entry damage, and it's just not enough to try to win a fair v fair by yourself. A lot of that has to come down to comms of, I hit a rocket, he took this, and then who's going to be available to do that remaining damage? Soon just going to be up on the trampoline, looking around, having the time of his life, probably looking for entry, and then you do one of these kind of triple blinks over the top and get right on the supports. Pizza comes in, takes AKM, though.
He's hurting Rogue communications right now because he just screams "wee" every time he goes into the air, but he finds Ginger Pop, making up for it early on in this fight. So with the Mercy down, Rogue with options here. They don't have to worry about Resurrection coming up in the middle of the fight, not that Ginger Pop had it, and it's very even on the trade-outs, but again, this favors Rogue so long as Soon is alive and can delay this out while respawns come back in, because even if they lose this, they gain so much on the point for participating in such an extended point.
And it's very possible that they won't even give it back. They're not dying now, kind of just jumping around, using the architecture to their advantage. And now once Unco gets back in here, they can res this too. They might just solo res their Pharah as the self-destruct comes in over top. Yep, that's the res that's going to happen.
Resurrection comes in, Denial still struggling as Pizza takes the long ride up. Soon, again, putting down the firepower here on the ground. Self-destruct in from Dante. Takes down Soon. And they recapped the point at the very least. Yeah. Rogue let that get away from them in the middle of it. But, yeah, I don't know, I guess for now this is okay. They're still stalling.
Yeah, it hasn't been really a decisive fight from either side, but Rogue, unable to stay bodies on the point, gave up 30% for free just because they were just too far in the air. They've gotten most of the kills, they've gotten the better part of this fight, but this is not how Oasis is won. You don't necessarily need giant team fights to win Oasis, you need stall.
Sound Barrier coming out here from Niles. They try to get some stability on here, but so long as they're holding the point, it's still fine. They get 2 kills off the Sound Barrier. Rogue now definitely split up and not really getting much done. At this point, Hex, if you're Rogue, do you call for a full reset?
Now you do. Now with Unco down. Because your reset was going to be the Resurrection coming back in after a couple of kills, after that barrage. But now with Unco down and AKM going down as well, you have to just pull back. You cannot keep bleeding onto this point, and you're only going to have one more shot at it. So if people are still staggering and now they're in trouble, and actually this is Denial is going to take the time too to full reset and group up again. Surprised that Pizza isn't up top getting the free damage in, especially with the damage boost.
Pizza right now just staying towards the middle, definitely giving a lot of respect to Rogue in regards to how far he dives in, but AKM coming in and with self-destruct in over the top. Pizza able to dodge it, but Silk Thread and Ginger did not. His healing no longer there. Now, without a lifeline with him, I'm not sure Pizza can really do much here. Gonna take a rocket from the back, doesn't have a Mercy lifeline, and not a whole lot he can do here aside from just stall out a bit. Not the worst situation for Denial, though, because they're still one fight away, Hex, from taking this round.
One fight away, and they will have Resurrection and Barrage to go with it. Again, and this just harkens back to the early days of Mercy v Mercy in Overwatch of all time. Which Mercy is going to be better at getting the value out of the Resurrection that you need? Both will have it up. If one of them missteps, misplays, and goes down first, that you could essentially call the fight right then.
Well, Denial, plenty of artillery in their bank right now as they move in. Self-destruct coming in from Dante, takes down Wins. Even trades here, 5 versus 5. Now the Mercy being down is definitely going to hurt Pizza, and they won't have the Resurrection on deck. Meanwhile, Unco uses his res, keeps the side of Rogue back in this fight. 82%, and they're taking this rather decisively. Denial needs to reset now, Hex, or they're not going to get another chance.
They should be able to get back in here one more time, maybe, if they just reset right now. It's 92%. They're going to have Dahoon there with a speed boost. He should be able to at least get a body on the point, but he gets rocketed down and cleaned up immediately.
Well, the Resurrection comes in here from Denial. Pizza gave up his life because he knew the res was there. Takes down 2, now back up and in the fight. Denial still has a chance of winning this, but Soon is the raid boss they must defeat. AKM over the top, supporting Soon on the ground. And XQC, he might have been raging out, but the rage could not withstand the barrage coming in from AKM. And that is going to be Rogue taking Oasis decisively over Denial.
And even though Ginger Pop was able to get back in there and get a resurrection off, it's just the difference of using a resurrection when you want to, when it's correct, when you're going to get value out of it, and being forced to come in and use a resurrection. So him dying early in that penultimate fight was a little bit rough for that.
There were more than a few fights, I think, where they just prioritized killing him a lot more, I think, just efficiently. There were a few fights, even on one of the first stages, where he got stuck with res and they would just kill him before he even had a chance to, win it. But they did, they showed signs of life there. They did bring it to 99. It won maybe Barrage or Pulse Bomb away from maybe winning that one particular stage, so pretty good showing from Denial, all things considered, but I think Rogue just the better team, at least right now.
Hard to argue with that. They're just a better team.
Now, when we've seen Denial do well, it almost kind of reminded me a bit of how CLG was doing well in regards to really strong Pharah play. Does Denial have other cards in their deck here, Flame, when Pizza's not able to get things done in a Pharah situation? Because I didn't really see too much from Denial in terms of trying other ways of bringing that around, which, truth be told, sticking with what you're good at could be a better alternative than what we saw from NRG earlier today, where they tried everything and failed. But on some level, it didn't really feel like Denial even had a plan B in store for this last round.
That might come down to Oasis in particular. I'd be surprised to see if Rogue sticks with this composition. Maybe they feel that they don't want to take the man fight or whatever into Denial with their own dive with the Winston, Tracer, Genji, as opposed to the Diva, Winston, Pharah. So, I think that Denial just got outplayed in terms of mirror comps. I think Nico was surprisingly good on the Diva. I don't know what I expected. I've seen him play Diva before, but he did a really good job of defense matrixing the barrages that came out. I think Unko not dying at all. I don't know if that speaks to how good Unko is at Mercy, or if that speaks to the focus fire or just inability to adapt to a Mercy of that caliber from Denial. Most of the time, I don't think Denial was running. I think Denial, for the most part yesterday, was running unopposed with the Mercy. Whenever they ran Mercy, there wasn't usually one on the other side. So maybe that's just something that they're not used to playing against. But I do think that Dante and Pizza do need to do a better job of supporting each other, because I do feel like Silk Thread was able to do more than I expected him to. He did have a lot of good pulse bombs. I think he killed Soon a couple times, and he seemed like he was doing fine. But when AKM is winning the air battle that bad, it's really hard to play Tracer into damage booster rockets because one just kills you. So that's that.
Just waiting for the next map choice here, as Denial, I think, is smart to take a little bit of time here and just calm down, just calm themselves.
Hex, I will say, just be careful there. You don't want Wins turning into a brand new Kai Kai, because let me tell you, Wins has been fire on Twitter recently. You don't want that monkey on your back, so to speak.
That's why I'm doing whatever he asked me to do. I just whatever Wins says is how the lobby is going to be run. I just got rid of Kai Kai for the moment. He's not in these lobbies, so I can't make another one.
We need to get Kai Kai in as a guest caster at some point, just to hear the bants between him and Hex.
There is no team more deserving of Apex than Hexagrams.
Hexagrams is a team unto himself, is actually where this is going.
I think we're going to Volskaya, unless this is a troll pick, but I've locked in the map, and yeah, this is definitely the pick that's coming out from Denial. And Rogue is choosing to play defense first. No, we're going to Volsk.
No, not that part. But is this the first assault map we've had all tournament long? Because we've had 2 assault maps in the pool between Volskaya and Anubis. This is the first time that a team has willingly brought us there.
It's the first one we've done on stream. I don't know exactly how every other map has gone out, but you'd imagine so. Teams generally stay away from Volskaya, but if Denial is, or just Assault in general, if Denial's practiced on this map, it could be a nice little pocket strategy for them, because a lot of teams don't necessarily put the practice in they need to on Assault.
That can definitely be a big factor. I think another thing is you want to try to swap the momentum of the series. Volskaya is one of those maps, again, where you can kind of go for an upset. It's not always necessarily the greater team wins. It does come down to maybe 1 or 2 really big team fights. And if you're able to last long enough on defense, or even bring it into maybe an overtime round, then that can be big. And it also does create a feeling of, I think, stress for one of the teams that does fail their pushes. So if you do win this map, if you're Denial, it definitely puts your morale a little bit higher for map 3, and I think that's their thinking, more or less. Like, if we win this, we can turn the series feeling around and maybe get Rogue a little out of their comfort zone. So I do think that that's a big part of this pick, and it's pretty smart. I think if you're afraid of taking a team in a straight-up fight, you might as well bring them to an assault map and see what you can do.
Well, I just want to say here, for all the people in chat that get whatever reference XQC is saying, it does appear to be a Vohayo. He's activating his next power form, or at least that's what he wants us to believe. As he says, he's opening his third eye. Denial laying down some form of gauntlet here. We'll see if it works out for them, as they will be on the attack first versus the Rogue standard defense, which is going to consist of a heck of a lot of dive.
Yeah, a spiritual reference, I believe, the third eye being the mind's eye and making sure that it is in contact with the higher powers here. So a little bit of prayer perhaps coming out from XQC after they just lost their map choice. And this is the comp that they want to run on offense. Pharmacy incoming. They're also going to run double dive tanks in a Diva and a Winston. And then we're going to see what still can get done on the ground. They need to be pressuring this top level here. They do jump in immediately.
Now trying to make a way through, but Rogue standing there as the brick wall. AKM with immediate pick out from the XQC, who was just focused down by everyone on Rogue as soon as he turned the corner. Pizza finds AKM towards the very end, but it's just not going to be enough. Too many members of Denial have died, and for Rogue, it's a solid counter dive defense that really catches Denial a bit off guard.
It was just odd the way they sent their combo through there after the dive had already pretty much failed, which it did so immediately. They lost